My channel is now and always has been, and I believe always will be, a budget-oriented channel. So whenever I review a $300 to $400 knife, like the Cold Steel XL Espada, I know it can alienate my usual viewers a little bit. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop reviewing these nicer, more expensive knives, because I love them too. And I can afford them now, and it's nice to be able to buy them. But my heart and soul in the knife hobby is still very much with budget users, budget collectors. And so what are they supposed to do whenever I review an awesome knife like the XL Espada, but they can't afford it. They can't spend the money. Well, the answer is you go with the budget clone. Now, I want to stress, this is not a counterfeit, though counterfeit versions of the XL Espada do exist that look basically just like this, because the reality with Chinese OEM manufacturing is that very oftentimes one company will produce a whole bunch of something, sell it to a whole bunch of third-party sellers who will stamp it themselves, and many of them will try to pass it off as the genuine article. In this case, Huang, the company who's selling this one, is not trying to claim this is a Cold Steel XL Espada, but there are counterfeits of the XL Espada that look identical to this, just with a different stamp, and be aware of that. I don't recommend buying them. I will never recommend buying counterfeit goods, but I'm okay with clones. I plan to do a whole video series talking about or comparing clones against the real deals, as well as kind of defining what I consider the difference between a clone, a counterfeit, a copy, so on and so forth. But today we're looking at a clone, and this is from Huang, the same people who made the what I dubbed Deal Pup knife. And this is their take on the Cold Steel XL Espada. Now, I completely forgot to open up the name of the eBay store where I got this one off of, and I need to go do that now, so I do apologize. Forgive me while I get that pulled up on my browser, because I actually did get this for a huge discount from the seller. The seller is RX7_68. I will actually do something I never do, and I will leave a link to their eBay store in the description, because I wanted to test this out, and I reached out to them and told them, hey, I am a reviewer. I would be interested in, possibly maybe getting, buying this knife off of you. What's the best deal you can offer me? I want to do a review. It'll be a fair and honest review, but I want to test it out. Like, what's the best deal we can work out? And he really hooked me up. I'm not going to say how much I paid for it, but I got a screaming deal on it. The price he usually sells them for is about $80. Now, $80 is a hell of a lot more affordable than $300 to $400. I know it's still not exactly budget for a lot of people, but this is a huge knife, and I feel like that's very reasonable for what you're getting, honestly. Now, like everything from Huang, they don't really have names. I'm going to call this the Huang Navaja, because it is drawing inspiration from the Spanish Navaja sword, which I think is really cool. And giving it that name keeps it in line with the Espada. I don't just want to call it the Huang Espada. This is the Huang Navaja, as far as I'm concerned. And it's a budget alternative. Let's get something out of the way right now. This is not a comparison video. I'll make that video at some point. Nor am I going to tell you that this is going to be every bit the quality of the Cold Steel. The reality is it's just not. Okay, and people who buy clones, copies, so on and so forth, y'all know that. I mean, y'all know you're not going to get equal quality for a cheaper price. The question is, do you get decent enough quality for a cheaper price? And I'm going to say absolutely hell yeah. You very much do. So let's talk about this thing, because it's a big honking knife. Here's our blade. Just like the Espada, we have a 7.5-inch clip point blade that is flat ground from about the midsection down. Beautiful big blade, great belly, comes razor sharp, super fine tip, just like the Cold Steel. Great for penetrating. It's a one-to-one copy of the blade design. But here's something kind of funny. Huang is claiming the steel is S35V. There's no such steel. There's S30V, there's S35VN, and for the price that this thing costs, you're not getting S35VN or S30V, guys. As I mentioned, you get this exact same knife, but branded Cold Steel, the counterfeit ones out there. Don't buy those, but they're out there. And because they are, I was able to actually reach out to a few of the sellers of those knives on AliExpress and talk to them and ask what the steel really is. And every single one of those sellers confirmed the steel is actually HCR 13 MOV. Okay, so that's what you're going to get is HCR 13 MOV. Very reasonable for this price point considering how big of a blade we have here. Okay, a lot of material going into this. And as I mentioned in my Espada XL review, you're not cutting with this damn thing. Okay, you're playing with it, you're having fun with it. If you do have to use it, it's most likely a self-defense situation. And guess what? HCR 13 MOV will serve just fine in a self-defense situation. If people in prison are using shivs made out of plexiglass and old toothbrushes, HCR 13 MOV is going to get the job done absolutely fine, guys. It'll defend your life, no problem. And that blade is a great shape for it. The finishing, I think, is actually pretty nice. It's a nice satin finish. I'm happy with it. I have no complaints. I do want them to take that false advertising off the blade. But then again, since no such steel exists, you could argue that that's the model number. Yeah, kind of funny. There's our thumb plate, just like the real deal cold steel Espada. It does help to deploy the knife relatively quickly, and it can wave off your pocket. And yeah, I got some carry time with this thing, and it does wave off the pocket every bit as reliably as the real deal. Okay, the wave function works. The triad lock is weaker. Okay, I can depress this very easily with my pointer finger, versus with the cold steel. It's a lot of work to depress that triad lock. It's much, much stouter. And just listen to the thwack of which it comes out compared to the cold steel. Good thwack. Here's the cold steel. No idea how that's going to, come across on camera, but it doesn't have the same super satisfying thwack into action that the Espada does. But you know what? I'd say it's good enough. I'd say it gets the job done. It does come out fast, and it does lock up tight. Okay? I don't have any place I decide. Up and down, if I really rock it, I can get a little bit. Okay, but I have to really try. So I'm going to say the lockup is good. It is a triad lock, as I said before. It is an imitation of the real deal's triad lock. I don't think it's going to be as strong as the real deal. But I also don't see you batoning with this or chopping limbs with it. Maybe you do if you're bored. And I think it'll hold up to that just fine, by the way. But I wouldn't expect it to handle the same stress tests that the real deal does. Keep that in mind. All that said, it's more than adequate, guys. It is more than adequate. I keep saying this isn't a comparison video. I will make a dedicated comparison video. It's just hard not to draw parallels. The handle is aluminum. It's definitely not 7,000 series. I would say 6,000 series at best, probably cheaper. And then you can see the handles here. It's trying to mimic that polished G10 look. It's a glass reinforced nylon. And it's actually the weakest part of this knife to me, because they're really cheesy feeling. Now, the ergonomics of this knife are just like the XL Espada. The corners aren't as rounded, but we can still get all of our variations of grips. So we still have all of our reach. It's still very fast in the hand. It's balanced, but these feel cheesy. And they're not that well affixed. Okay, you see that? So what I would do, and what I'll probably do with this one, is I got a buddy who makes guitars, and he has a bunch of rosewood laying around. I'll probably go to him, have him peel these scales off, trace out the design, make some beautiful rosewood scales for it, and slap those on here for that true, Navaja kind of look. That's what I'll probably do with mine. You could make custom scales out of wood, micarta, bone, stag, G10 to go more for the authentic deal. Whatever you want. It would be a fun project. It is just affixed with some, I believe those are torque screws. It looks like T6 torque screws, but it is the cheesiest part of the knife. It is the worst part of the knife. Funny enough, it's actually a little bit lighter than the real deal, though. The real Espada is 16 ounces, and this one weighs in at 15 ounces. So it's a full ounce lighter. So if you're concerned with weight, it definitely gets the job done there. Okay? Fit and finish on the back spacer, not quite as nice as the real deal, but still, honestly, not that bad. A little bit of a gap there. Not going to cause any real problems. One real weak point on this is the clip. Okay, it doesn't flare out or anything. It copies the cold steel design, but it doesn't copy the tension. It's much weaker. You could bend it to get a little more tension, or you could just replace it with a real cold steel clip or any aftermarket clip. because any clip that will fit the Espada XL will fit the Huang Navaja. So keep that in mind. It's a little bit of a project. It's not perfect. It's not going to match the Espada XL directly. It's also not a $300 or $400 knife. I think, honestly, for what they charge for it, it's adequate. Okay, I didn't mention the handle length, 9 1/4 inches long. Yes, it's ergonomic in the hand. Again, just not quite as, maybe a little more squared off. But still, I'd say it's ergonomic. I'd say it's perfectly comfortable. I just really don't like those cheesy scales. That's, honest to God, the biggest issue with this knife. Price tag, like I said, hovering around the $80, $85 range for this. I think it's worth it. You know, I may not have paid full price for mine, but I think I happily would. Having handled one now, yeah, if I was just handling one in the store and they told me how much it cost, I would pay the price. I would pay the 85 bucks. It's a cool knife. And if you can't afford the genuine article, and you can't afford even the textured G10 versions of the Cold Steel Espada XL, no, this is a decent proxy. At the very least, it'll hold you over until you can't afford it if this is your grail knife. But I think for many people on a budget, this is going to do just fine. And it's not going to hurt Cold Steel's sales. It's really not. The people who want the Cold Steel experience aren't going to stop and be satisfied with an imitation. They're going to buy the real deal. So it's not taking anything away from Cold Steel, really. If anything, it's going to possibly put the real deal in more people's hands as people are able to afford this, handle it, play with it, love it, and then want to upgrade. It's just a fun knife. It is just a fun knife. Will this one see any time in my pocket? Maybe. Maybe. You know, if I'm in a situation where I want to carry a big folding knife like this, but I don't want to risk losing my Espada, yeah, I could see this getting some pocket time. I have carried it a little bit. It does wave just as reliably as I said. It is still super fun. I'm happy with it. If you want an Espada for less, it's not a bad way to go. I'll catch you guys later.